Alright guys, Lord Archerdon here, bringing you an OU match, so let's just get right into it. So I lead off with Nidoking and he leads off with Rotom Wash. I just go for the Thunderbolt, see how much it's going to do. Doesn't really do enough. He goes for the Will-O-Wisp and burns me. It doesn't really matter because my Nidoking is special. I switch in Ferrothorn to take the Hydro Pump, take it very nicely. He ends up hard switching out rather than Volt switching, but I go for Rocks on the switch. He goes into Fortress, so I switch into Jellicent to take his Rapid Spin. Then I go for the Taunt, expecting him to set up his hazards, Stealth Rocks or Spikes or something, but he goes back into Rotom Wash, which gets taunted, and I know I can take a Volt Switch because he's not Specs, he's not anything like that. So I just stay in, see what he wants to do, go for the Toxic, but Fortress comes in, it's immune to the Toxic. That's fine because we're back to square one. Then I can just taunt again. I'm not sure why he stayed in after seeing I had taunt anyway, but he does, so I prevent him setting up any of his hazards. He switches out to Celebi. My Jellicent can't touch his Celebi at all, especially since I don't get the burn, so I just get it out of there. I bring in Metagross since Metagross walls support Celebi completely. He goes for the rocks on my switch, doesn't really matter. I managed to trick my Choice Scarf onto his Fortress, which basically cripples it. And then as he sets up his hazards, I can switch out into Nidoking to hopefully get the Flamethrower off. Unfortunately for me, he knows I'm special from the start, and he switches back out into his Rotom Wash, which takes the Flamethrower not quite as well as it needed to. I'm not sure if he was sacrificing Rotom here, or he expected me to switch out, but I go for the Thunderbolt and knock him out. This is great for me because Volt Switch was really annoying. But now he brings in Infernape, which obviously scares me out, so I bring in Jellicent, knowing that I can take any attack off of him. Close combat, overheat, whatever, even a Grass Knot I could have taken. But it takes the overheat really well, and I can recover up on the switch into Celebi. I go straight back out into Metagross because his Celebi only has Giga Drain, Thunder Wave, Recover, and Stealth Rocks, and none of those will really cripple him in any way. He can't take him out. He Thunder Waves, but that doesn't really matter because everything apart from Fortress already outspeeds Metagross. He goes for Giga Drain, it only does 15%, and I go for the Meteor Mash, which does almost half, which is really troublesome for him. I predict his switch into Fortress and go for Earthquake. It doesn't do very much, but it does enough so that next turn Nidoking can go for Earth Power rather than Flamethrower. I didn't really want to go for Flamethrower in case he tried to get Terrakion or Infernape out, which are real threats to my team. Burn damage kills me off this turn, which results in a double down. I send out Metagross, knowing that if he brings anything other than Celebi out, I can just switch out to the appropriate counter on my team. He sends out Celebi though, and recovers up the damage that I'd already done to him, but I go for Meteor Mash again, do almost half again, but I get the attack boost this time. The attack boost doesn't really play much of a role, apart from it might have influenced him to switch out, but I predict this and go for the Earthquake. I get a crit, but even without the attack boost, even without the crit, it would have killed Infernape because Infernape's made of paper. He goes into Salamence, which I deduce is Scarf, so I just leave it in. If he goes for Earthquake, he'll be trapped and I can bring in Glysaur, but he goes for Fire Blast, which I live because my Metagross is Scarfed and bulky, and I managed to knock him out with the Ice Punch. This time I'm in the range where Celebi can knock me out with the Giga Drain, but I just leave Metagross in. He's done more than enough work. Now I send in Scrafty. I'm not really scared of the Thunder Wave, since most people assume that Scrafty runs Shed Skin, but mine's actually Moxie and Lumberry. So I Dragon Dance up, and here on the switch, I really debated going for Drain Punch, knowing that Crunch would give him an attack boost, but that's what happens in the end. I go for Crunch. Terrakion does get the attack boost, but it doesn't really matter because I can switch into Jellicent, which can take a close combat because it's immune, and this X-Scissor does almost nothing. It does 14%. I go for the Toxic, knowing that either of his Pokemon being poisoned is great for me. I get Celebi since he switches out. He switched into Celebi, knowing that Natural Cure would heal him as he switched out, but switching out is exactly what I want him to do. I bring in my Ferrothorn and just go for the Thunder Wave. My plan was just to Thunder Wave and Thunder Wave until he switched. But he switches on the first Thunder Wave, which is great. It saves a lot less hassle, and I managed to paralyze his Terrakion. He goes for the close combat. Ferrothorn can go down, no problem. It does 29% residual damage from Iron Barbs and Rocky Helmet, and Ferrothorn's done its job completely. I'm then free to go into Scrafty. I just go for the Drain Punch, no point over predicting at this point in the match. Celebi takes it quite well, but then I can just Dragon Dance up. He goes for the Thunder Wave, but like I said earlier, I do have Lumberry. Since Paralysis is negated by Lumberry, I can just go for the Crunch. Because of Ferrothorn's contact damage and Stealth Rocks, Crunch just takes out Terrakion as soon as it comes in. I get the Moxie boost, which is sort of overkill at this point, since even a +1 Crunch would have knocked out Celebi. Celebi comes in and gets hit by the Crunch, which awards me the game. So that's good game to Pedrocas 97. I'll give you his YouTube link down below, and stay tuned for an update of what's going to happen with this channel. Okay guys, sorry this wasn't a DS battle, but my opponent's Wi-Fi wasn't working at the time, so I had to do the battle over Pokemon Showdown. Next week I will have a DS battle for you, whether it will be UU or OU, depends on whether I battle my next opponent sooner or later. I'm in Malvo 19's tournament, I'm Archerdon obviously, and I hope that, people follow that. I'm going to plan to get a video out every Wednesday or Thursday evening, so please like, share, comment, spread the word, since the more feedback I get, the more content I get, and remember, I'm always open to challenges. Thanks guys.